Over the years, leadership position, especially in Africa, has been seen as a prerogative of men. But women are gradually making their leadership presence felt in different sectors, both nationally and globally. As encouraging as this may sound, there is still so much gap between what is and what should be. Women's representation in key leadership positions is still very low. There is still so much work to be done. On that note, I am glad to invite you to come join me along my amazing guests as we discuss women and leadership in this our evolving world. But before you get to meet them, we'll go on a quick break. Don't move. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Now it's time to bring in my co-host of the week, because every week I'm going to have one of my girls come in and support me, one of the producers. And today on duty, opening the show, it's my black chocolatey diamond, otherwise known as Dolakbo, aka Dolls.
Thank you, Wong. Thank you. Oh my God, I can hear, oh my God, flowers, attention. Oh, thank you. I am super excited, I'm elated, I'm pumped. In fact, my blood just went down, because it's amazing to be on the first official episode of May's World. You know how hard we've worked on this, and I'm so glad it's all coming to light right now. I'm so excited. Yes. We made it.
We made it, yeah. So for our very first conversation with our amazing guests, what are your expectations, Dolls?
You know what, like, I don't think we could have picked the right topic to open up, because even the people coming on board, they're like two powerful women. And I like the fact that they're both from, you know, two different generations, and they're bringing amazing things to the table. Now, talking about the topic itself, leadership is one thing that I'm really, really excited about. You know, even though personally, I tend to shy away from leadership. I like to just be behind the table and you just make the decision. But today, I want to learn how to actually step up, you know, and start, you know, I want to start making decisions on the table as well. I'm qualified, like Auntie has always taught me. I can do it.
Yes. And of course, one of the reasons why we are here is to help you to become more. So I think now is the right time to know who we have on our guest list.
In fact, I cannot wait to actually read out their profile. Now, officially, on the first ever episode of May's World, we are privileged to have these amazing people. And first up is Dr. Rametu Momodu. Now, she is a pharmacist and a director in one of the government's parastatals who's passionate about life and service, an observational mentor who advocates role modeling as a true way of life-changing achievement. She has mentored many young ladies professionally and acts as a life coach to a productive life of purpose. And secondly, we have Jennifer Sober-Pierce. Jennifer is a young, thoughtful leader in the international development sector. She's a conscientious nation builder and a community development strategist. She's the founder of Give Back Nigeria, a social responsibility organization focused on getting young Nigerians more involved in their community through hands-on experimental learning. She's a part of several international development organizations. Currently, she serves as the executive director of Fountain Initiative for Social Development. Wow.
I'm already pumped, Dolls. Please, can we bring them in?
I can't wait.
Oh, wow. Welcome. Some loaded profiles. I'm so confident that this conversation is going to be one of a kind. Welcome, Dr. Rametu. Welcome to May's World. And you, Jennifer, it's so nice to have you on our show. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So today we are talking about women and leadership, especially in the Nigerian and African context. Jennifer, please, can you briefly tell us what you do and how it reflects on today's conversation?
So for me, leadership kind of came with actually trying to champion a narrative in a field where a lot of women are, but not necessarily get the chance to be top tier leadership. For example, you would have the UN, WHO, in the kind of work I do. And one thing I definitely saw was that when you're ready to kind of come and add your value, you're ready to champion change, you're ready to spearhead leadership, active citizenship leadership and encourage other people to kind of focus on the objectives and the goals of community work, or even just changing society, leadership will come easily, because while it looks like a lot of women don't have the opportunity, I really believe that some are not even given a chance or don't even know how to go about it. So for me, my leadership experience in the social sector has been one of doing and adding value. And I know that we'll definitely go to questions like about how you can become a leader, but adding value is one thing that really opened the door for me. Starting my career really, really young, and at the age of 28, really being one of the social sector, curators in Nigeria. And just adding value and just really showing people that not only do you want to be part of the conversation, but you actually have the capacity. And I think that's something about leadership, capacity to actually, make things go, or rather define what an industry should be like. So for me, that's more of, my own leadership experience and my own connotations around leadership. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Jennifer, for that. But I'll also quickly ask you, because I know that you might soon be leaving us. My next question to you is, what kind of impact do you think will happen in the society, especially our nation, if more women are let into positions of leadership? Because culturally, the leadership positions are usually seen as the exclusive right of the male gender. When this idea changes, how do you think it's going to affect or impact on our society at large?
Thank you so much for that question. One thing I'm reminded, and I know people know this quote. If they don't know this quote, well, today is a good day to hear this quote. When you educate a man, you educate a man. When you educate a woman, you educate a community. Women have a natural nurturing behavior, and they will likely go above and beyond to make things happen, especially for other people, because of their empathy and their compassion. And why nation building is very key through women is because women will care a lot. They would go the extra mile because they come with the connotations of a mother, a nurturer, a carer. So they will take care of a nation until they're taking care of a child. They'll take care of a nation until they're taking care of a family. And men come with wisdom. Yes, they come with character, ingenuity. Women now come and add on with care and tolerance. It comes, when you say nurturing comes with a level of tolerance, because you're saying, no matter what, I'm here and I'm available. You can look at some famous leaders are always referenced to Dora Kuyuli, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, Woshika. These are women who inspire me. They bring the mother nature to leadership and they go above and beyond. They really push forward. We have people like Amina J. Mohammed right now, who is literally in the UN, and she's really championing a new narrative and really putting Africa on the map. And if you notice on something she does, when she does her outreaches or she goes nation to nation, she really talks about the compassion and empathy part of development. And that's what women bring to the table. Women are very imperative to the conversation. They're imperative to nation building. And really, when you engulf a woman and give her the opportunities, because another problem is opportunities and platforms. When they are given opportunities and platforms, they will go above and beyond, and they will champion that's fair. They will include other women. They will include youths especially, and they will kind of bring this kind of consortium around development. So we need to really pay attention to women and give them the opportunities to be part of this equal playing field that we always talk about.
Thank you very much. Now let me come to you, Dr. Ramatu. Initially, women were more prone to joining the civil service. Now you are in an executive position. As you sit on that table now, how is that first responder advantage that women have represented in leadership?
I would say it's about 50-50, and then sometimes about 50% in favor of women. And you remember, so like I said, and which you have repeated, is that civil service attracted a lot of women in the beginning because of the notion that you would have time to look after your family. So it wasn't really about the money, because civil service is not the highest paying or in terms of remuneration. So it's really about time, about having time for the family. And that is even reflected right now. So when we sit there, it's about 50-50, and in fact, tending towards more of the women in most cases with the women. I mean, not just in the ministry where I am, not just in my parastatal, across board when I go for meetings, when we attend meetings or different committees, we have a lot of women in those places. And this is because of what had happened or the perception in the beginning. But more and more men, I noticed that more and more men are beginning to come into service. They're beginning to come into service more than before.
Now that this has happened, when they come, do they grow faster than the women or they grow at the same rate?
If you remember, I did say that, you see, the government system is, I mean, when I was speaking yesterday, I say an equal opportunity provider, because the standard for progressing is by exams. It's written there in the civil service rules. Is by exams and appraisal, you know, something they call the APA forms, the annual performance evaluation reports, you know. They all carry a different percentage. The exams is 80% and the APA is 20%. So it's really about the exams. You do the exams. So if you pass, you move on to the next stage. So it's really quite straightforward. Maybe the question you would ask is, who passes more? Is it the women or the men?
Okay, maybe I should ask that. Yes, who passes more?
I don't think my very limited experience would suffice to give a general view. But the women do very well. We're good exam takers. The women do very well. And you know, again, because taking exams is something that needs composure. It's something you need to pay attention when you're studying. You need to concentrate. And just like Jennifer was saying, there's a nurturing part in us. There's a compassionate part in us. And I think all of this just makes us a bit more stable. So when you're studying, you tend to focus more. While I was doing some research for this work, I came across studies. Where, I mean, even though these are American studies, but I think we might be able to extrapolate them to even our situations here, where they're talking about that 60% of the people who have a degree in the US are women, even to masters and to PhDs. However, when you get to the boardroom and to the big 4,500 companies, the men occupy more positions. Well, I guess we'll get to that. We'll know what the barriers are and what the reasons for this. So if you want to say who is more educated, I mean, in terms of acquiring degrees, it looks like it would seem from research, from evidence-based, that the women are, but we do not occupy the prime positions. We are not in the boardroom, neither do we occupy the positions of chief executive officers. So there are other reasons there. So it's not just about education. That's the point I'm trying to make.
So, like you rightly said, we are going to go deeper into that aspect of leadership. Yeah. Okay. Jennifer, final question before we go on the break. So, what are the conditions that are needed for the woman to have the opportunity to express her full potential in the leadership position in our society at the moment?
Basically, the conditions are more of the opportunities and also some sort of like standard that companies and organizations need to put that say women should be at least 10% of a board or 10% of like the leadership or 20%. I think it all lies into men understanding their allyship and the he for she kind of movement where they know that through them we'll find opportunity, through them we'll have capacity, and through them, you know, doors can be open even for women to be included, because leadership in the 21st century, fourth industrial revolution, is all about inclusion. It's all about people getting opportunity to be in the room and have conversations around not only women being in leadership positions, but women given the full capacity and the resources they need to create change in their society, in their companies, organizations, and nations in general. Because at the end of the day, when you work in a company and organization, everything still tallies into nation building, because businesses and organizations make up the economy. They make up the whole value chain, or I call it the nationhood value chain. So women not only should be given opportunities, but it should actually be put in play on paper even if it's a bill, that women have to take a certain position or an allocation of leadership in the nations, especially in Africa.
You've spoken a bit about what the society need to do and the role our opposite gender, the male gender, need to play to help this happen. But my question now is, what role does the woman herself need to play to make sure she reposition herself for these leadership opportunities we are talking about?
I love that question. Number one, add value. You have to have your skill sets up to play and you need to add value. So you're saying that you can sit on a board of a FMCG. What have you done that actually makes you, in that play of actually sitting on the board of an FMCG? What value sets do you have? What is your background? What is your, will I also say, what would you say your track record has been? What have you done? I'm sure Doc here has a certain level of acquisitions and degrees and certifications that have qualified her for the position she's sitting in. So the thing is that your qualifications will even open up the door for you. And then you are now bringing value. Not only do you now position yourself as a thought leader, but you're someone who people can actually look up to in your industry, just beyond just you being a woman that needs to occupy the space. So it's also basically when they say opportunity is when luck and preparedness, right, meets you. So that's the whole picture we're trying to paint for women today.
This is just the first half, and truths and facts are flying all over the place. But we have to go on a quick break. It's a pity, Jennifer, that you might not return when we come back. But please, if you can, come back. Let's continue this conversation. It's really getting very interesting. Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll dig deeper right into the conversation. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Welcome back. If you are just tuning in, we are still on May's World. And the topic of discussion for today is women and leadership. You have missed quite a lot if you are just joining, but don't worry. You are still in love because I still have my wonderful sister, Dr. Remetu here. Jennifer might still join us if she's able to cross the technological... Oh, she's back! Oh, I'm so happy to see you, Jennifer. I'm happy to have all of you together again. Welcome.
Thank you.
Before we went on a break, while you were talking, Dr. Rametu, the impression I got is that initially, why men were not attracted to the civil service was because the financial gain was not that high. But when you begin to look at areas where the financial stake is higher, the number of women begin to drop. Why do you think this is so?
Well, in answering this question, I'm going to be general. It will not only be just about the civil service. You see, of course, when the stakes are higher, when the remuneration is higher, there's a lot of interest. So the men would want to come in, and then they would want to take the spaces that are available. And when you put men and women at par, especially when it comes to position, the men tend to do better. And this is for a number of reasons. One, men know how to form alliances. They know how to cultivate relationships to get into those positions and to get what they want. Women are less, how will I put it? Women are less likely to do this. And again, it's just, one, is our makeup. And then two, we haven't been trained that way. And then again, there are cultural barriers. So for example, men would have access to, so maybe go to the golf club, go out to drink, or go to some men's club or boys club, which women do not do. But really and truly, this is where those conversations about who occupies a particular position is discussed, and they decide who is going to take those positions. I'm not saying this is what happens in the civil service. I'm just saying, in general terms, that's what it is. Because like I said, in the civil service, it's really quite straightforward, except when you begin to talk about maybe certain committees or certain groups and, like that. So women are less likely to be found maybe in a drinking parlor or drinking beer with men or something. Again, so because this is where they have those conversations and decide who should sit in a particular place. who should occupy a particular position. And usually they'll just share it for themselves. So when we get more women into positions, then we can have more people who would speak for other women. I know we're not there yet, but we're probably going to ask that question. What are the things that we should do? But just to say that this is a barrier, and it's something that we need to look out for.
When Jennifer was talking, she mentioned a concept that I think is very vital, the idea of he for her. And I know that there is no closer he for her than your spouse. So now I want to ask Dr. Remetu, what role did your husband play that helped or did hinder you from going as far as you've gone?
Oh, he played a very, very significant role. I cannot quantify it in money terms. It has been invaluable. And why do I say this? Again, I will go to culture. I will start from there because there are certain roles or certain ranks that somehow people don't expect women to aspire to, the ones we're talking about, the CEO roles, the roles, the boardroom roles, the top level roles. Not only do they, because when you start to aspire, it's either you're going to be called names, you're too ambitious, you like money, or if you get there, you're going to be called names. Oh, she slept her way there. And because more often than not, they don't think it's competence. That conversation is beginning to change, but that's in times past, it was always like, oh, if she got that position, she must have been sleeping with somebody. They do not record it to competence or that you added value or that you qualified for it or that you are going to bring something essential, something different into that space. I'm very blessed that I have a husband, a spouse who has been very supportive. I love to read. I love to develop myself. And so at every point in time, I'm doing some course, I'm reading something, and my husband was always very supportive. In spite of this fact that I was in civil service where people would always tell you that it doesn't matter how many degrees you have, it's not going to make a difference towards moving you in leadership. But I said, well, it's okay. My life does not only consist of what I do where I work, but I want to develop myself so I can have intelligent conversations outside of workplace, and be able to impact and to influence. He's been very supportive of, our work. Like I said, I cannot quantify the role that he has played. It's been invaluable. When we were talking yesterday, I said, because I remember before we came on this show, I had a talk with one of your managers, and I was asking, what is the demographic that is going to watch this? And she said 25 to 45. So I said, okay, so it means there may be there may be women who are unmarried and who would be watching the show. And we also want to make sure that they take something out of this. So this is what I'm going to say, that you see, it's very important for any lady, as much as you can, that before you say yes to a guy, it has to be someone you share the same values with, somebody you have the same convictions, and someone who understands you, who knows where you're going, and will support you in that role. It's very critical, because if you do not have that down to a T, it's going to be very difficult. When you were talking with Jennifer, you asked a question, so something like, what should women do? What should women do to show that they deserve this position? And I remember her saying that it's not just that you must bring value. Yes, so you must be competent, you must bring value. It is not just because you deserve it. And, our body language will speak that we are willing to make the sacrifices that we need to make to occupy that role or to add value to that position. So my daughter is 23 now. My youngest child is 23 now. I remember when she was just a few months old, Actually, I had just gotten back from maternity leave. And so she was maybe about 3 months or 4 months. And I was in a role where I had to travel. This particular role needed the person to travel. And I told my boss, can you imagine? I walked up to my boss and I said, look, I'm not going to travel because I have a baby. And he said, you know what? You will go on those trips. And I looked at him. He said, yes, you will go on those trips. I didn't argue. And again, because I have a supportive husband, it was easy. I would leave the baby and go on the trips. So I just wanted to put that in there, that our body language and what we say and how we comport ourselves at work can also have an effect on how we move towards this leadership role and how we're viewed for such positions.
So in essence, what you are saying is that spousal support is very key, because some of these sacrifices you talked about, a woman can't really make them if the husband or the partner is not in support. So it actually goes back to the point of selecting who you marry.
Absolutely.
Okay, we know that down. Now, Jennifer, I come to you.